All right, thus begins the April meeting of the Hampton Road Ship Model Society. Welcome, everyone. As usual, we'll start off with guests. First one is Joe, who was invited by Ryland. Would you please introduce yourself, Joe?
Good morning, all. I'm Joe Lorenzo from upstate New York, a founding member of the Model Shipwrights of Western New York. We're about 5 years old, a little more. And I recently joined the New Jersey Ship Modelers group, where I've met Bill Brown, Tom Ruggiero, and Ryland. And of late, Ryland has been very instrumental in helping me identify a model. I won't go into the details, but a model that I picked up. It needs some work. It was from a member of our group who passed away, and it was so well done, I just couldn't let it be squandered in his estate sale. So I picked it up, and I'm going to be restoring it. It needs a little work, not a lot, but I'm happy to join you folks and see what you're all about. And Zoom lets us all do that. So thank you all.
It's good to have you. Can you, does your club have a email or a web address? Because I keep
We have a website.
Could you tell me what it is,
We have
please?
a website, and what I'll do is put it in the chat box while we're proceeding.
Cool. Thank you very much.
And in return, I'd like yours as well. I probably can look it up online. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I'll go ahead
and
type it in here real quick.
All right, and I'll reciprocate.
All right, there we go. Oh, Patrick did finally send a message. Browser won't let audio turn on, he says.
Respond to that.
Not sure how to fix that.
Try logging out and logging in again, possibly.
So roll the windows down and roll back up again. That's usually the first thing to try, isn't it? Okay. Again, thanks for joining us, Joe. Floyd, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning. My name's Floyd Shelton. I'm located in Gloucester, Virginia. I found out about this group through John Cheevers. We actually were on a mutual work Facebook page, exchanging some conversation about the Dorothy and a model that he had built. I've been with the shipyard for my entire adult life, so I've been around shipbuilding for a very long time, and I've been building models since I was a kid. Mostly planes, cars, trucks, things like that. I've done a couple of ships, and it's been a challenge that I've always been fascinated with. I love going to the museums. I love the Mariner Museum, and going over to Nauticus and where the Wisconsin is, and viewing those museums. And I've always been really fascinated by the challenge of building those detailed ship models. So it's always been a challenge that I feel like I'm working toward. I don't have one in progress right now. I'm actually building a 1951 Ford truck, but it's those details that I feel like I'm working my way toward it. The ship that I did build, my son had asked me for his 4th birthday, he wanted a pirate ship. And so I set out trying to figure how can I build a pirate ship for a 4-year-old that looks real but is yet playable. So I really just got a bunch of books, started looking at how they were designed and set up, and I actually built cut a keel and started laying ribbing out and built it just like I think you would a regular model, but it's obviously a little more durable for a 4-year-old to play with. It turned into quite the project. I started Memorial Day weekend. His birthday was in December, and I was up at 2 a.m. sewing the sails for his birthday. So anyhow, since then, I've always, it's been my goal to move on to something more challenging, more exciting. So anyhow, I'm excited to be part of this morning and see where it goes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining. That sounds like a really fun project. I'd like to see that. If you join again, please
Certainly.
share. So doesn't have to be finely detailed to be fun and interesting. And then it would be something different. Uh-oh. I have a curious cat that wants to join. I'm gonna knock stuff over. Okay, any other guests? I don't think so. We just had the two, right? Okay. Additions or corrections to the minutes? Are there any? Okay. Tom must be doing a good job. Do you have a treasurer's report, Ryland, or you can't do that from Smithfield? You gonna skip it this time?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We started the month off. I got a little echo under the shelter here. Let me move out. We started the month off with $4,583.23. We collected $240 in dues, and we had $100 received for, something that I think it was an auction of Bill Clark's memorabilia. So we had total receipts of $340. We had disbursements of $134.88 for the website, and that leaves us at the end of the month $4,788.35. And we still have 11 members that owe dues. I have emailed them 3 times and still not getting a response from them. And this is over 3 months, so once a month I do email them. Right now the roster shows 45 regular members, 5 associate members, and 1 honorary member. That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Just saw another guest pop in. Thanks for joining, Alfred. Meeting's only a couple minutes old. The very first thing we do is introduce guests, but we can certainly circle back to you. You mind introducing yourself? Say a little bit about what you do.
Yes, I am Al Aylesworth. I'm a retired teacher. I live in Deltaville, Virginia. And of course, I've been interested in boats and had boats and rebuilt real boats. I've only made one previous model many, many years ago, but I have, continually helped my grandson with his model train sets. But I am in the process of starting my first little model based on schooner, 77-foot schooner that my grandfather used to own and run on the bay. That's about it.
All right, that's good. Thanks for joining. Look, hope you come back again. You show us the progress on your model. Okay, so back to the agenda. Next is the webmaster's report. That would be me. I added our logbook for March and newsletters from other clubs going back through January. I had a bit of a backlog there. Stuart forwarded me an article written up in Williamsburg's Next Door Neighbors magazine on Bill Brown. So that's been posted. You find that. Let me share the screen.
The Bill Clark.
No, on Bill Brown.
It ain't me.
We have 2 Bill Browns, or Bruce
Okay.
Brown. Sorry, Bruce Brown. Not Bill Brown, Bruce Brown. We have 2 Browns, both with B's, Bill Bruce. So under about, and so it's like our club in the media. That's what that section is. And there's the article about Bruce Brown. So if you want to read it, go to About Media. And so Alfred, regarding his model, had asked about sources of milled wood. And I queried the club, got a few answers back. And some of the club members said that, some of their sources had dried up and they wanted to know what other people's responses were. So I collected them. Shouldn't have stopped sharing. I collected those and put it under shop notes. So under references and shop notes. There's a new entry for commercial sources of milled wood. And there's a listing of places you can get lumber that's milled to a more greater or lesser degree. Some of these will be roughly milled. Well, I shouldn't say roughly. They're probably well milled, but in larger sizes you would need to cut down. And then others are like ready to use. And if you have anything you'd like to add to this, let me know and I'll add it to the list. I also added the entry for Tom Ruggerio's presentation on making sales from Silkspan. But at his request, you have to be logged in order to see it. So as long as you're logged in, it'll show up. If you're not, it'll say you don't have permissions. So that's in here as well. So if you want to go back and review that, you can. Last month, I reported I was behind on adding events to the calendar. I got the Philly ModelCon event added, but I need a reminder for the details for the event in like the Northeast event that's been mentioned. Can't remember what that was, the joint clubs meeting or whatever. I need a reminder.
It's October 2nd, the joint clubs.
Okay.
I can, in the broad acts, I have some words on. We spoke to Tim Murphy. They're the sponsoring club, the Constitution Shipwrights, USS Constitution Shipwrights. They will be sending out a flyer, I'm guessing, in about another month or two, once things start to steady up here. So I will put that in the broad acts, and I'll get you a copy, Greg.
Oh, I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.
As far as the Model Con on the Battleship New Jersey, that's August 7th. August 7th.
Yeah, I have that one already. Did I have it wrong?
Yeah.
No, here we go. Yep.
Okay.
The NRG convention's been canceled this year.
Okay. Yeah, last time we spoke, that seemed to be in jeopardy. So thank you for the update.
It's getting replaced by a virtual arrangement. We're not quite there yet, but we have a very extensive list of possible topics. So.
Okay. All right, and if there are any other events that you're aware of and you'd like me to add them to the calendar, just forward me the info. And that's all I have for the webmaster's report. Old business. So we started talking about before the meeting. So let's go back to that. The return to the museum. Ron's already told us that well, why don't you just go ahead and tell us what's going on at the museum, Ron, please?
I think the first word is indefinite. We will obviously be going back to the museum for meetings, but with the restrictions that are in place right now, I don't have specific information about how our meeting room would be set up. Pretty sure it's going to be the downstairs. What used to be the McMullen Gallery is now a fairly large meeting room. So probably that's where we're going to be rather than upstairs, but again, nothing definite. Now, as I said earlier, the museum will open on the 22nd of May. That's the week before Memorial Day for members only. On Memorial Day weekend, it'll open for everyone. I don't know why I'm getting feedback. And that would probably put our first meetings in the June category. Working for May, but I'll keep you posted as things go along. There's also, excuse me, a good bit of repair work going on in the museum, especially with the heat exchangers on the roof. In one area, the Age of Exploration, there's work going on there, and when it's completed, it will have expanded the Age of Exploration gallery and changed it somewhat to bring in other cultures that have not been addressed in the Age of Exploration. So that's going to be a big deal opening when we do get it open. That'll be 2022. So for right now, that's it. Kind of uncertain. I will continue to let you know as progress moves along, and Beth will continue to correspond with the model makers as far as scheduling and rules of the road when you get into the model area. There will be certain rules established that will common sense stuff, nothing big deal. But that's about it. Happy birthday, Stu.
Thank you. Just another one.
You're muted, Greg.
Yep, I got you. Thank you. So the museum's reopening, but I guess the 6-foot distancing rules might keep us from actually holding a meeting there for a while, huh?
It very well may. That's not something that is an absolute hurdle, but it's one that's being worked on.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
And the guidelines will be changing as time goes on, so we'll see.
Yep.
And I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to bring it up so keep it somewhere near the tops of our minds. You already mentioned that we might be meeting in a different room. That was a question I had. And what the Wi-Fi capability will be is another question that will need to be answered eventually, because we'd like to continue holding these meetings via Zoom even while we're meeting in person. So
Well, let me answer that now. The Mullen Gallery had some little glitches in the Wi-Fi. They are being addressed as a priority because obviously we do a lot of our talks, like the one I did last week and the week before, from that room.
Mhm.
So they're simply smoothing out some of the kinks in the Wi-Fi. That should not be a problem at all, Greg, and all. Obviously, the importance of the Wi-Fi meetings is paramount to us, and the complete Wi-Fi setup is paramount to the museum.
So, we're starting to get guests in from, Gloucester, Deltaville, Matthews, and they won't be able to make every meeting. Those distances aren't tremendous, but might keep them from showing up month after month. And we want to keep, like Gene Andes down in Louisiana, we want to keep him involved. And I've discussed it in the past, I don't want to become a nationwide club, but we have a wider region that's uncovered. Say there's someone who wants to join a local club, but he's in Roanoke. There's probably never going to be a local club in Roanoke, but we're as local as it gets for them. We can pull in people like that. So you're right. I want to keep this going if we can. And Bill Brown, not Bruce Brown, brought up in the past that microphones might be an issue. If we're holding a live meeting in a large space with a lot of people. So that's a technical thing we'll have to address. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but just mentioning it to keep it in our minds. And if anyone is or knows of an expert in that area, let us know. I did a little Googling for like Bluetooth meeting room microphones. They range in price from $90 to $300, and hopefully we can go with a cheaper option and get decent results. And we might need 2 or 3 if we want to avoid people having to get up and walk to a table in order to speak. And then the question is, if you got 2 or 3, do you end up getting crosstalk, that kind of thing? Again,
Greg,
getting ahead of ourselves.
Another thing is, what about our computer? It's close to 10 years old, if not 10 years old. Is it, I don't even know if it would handle Zoom. So that's something we need to look
I wouldn't be
into.
surprised if it did. I think the Wi-Fi is going to be the biggest limitation. But certainly that's something we can test.
Yes.
Let's don't forget the museum has a very competent IT staff, and Dan Archibald can figure out anything that his guys can't. It's a very full staff of well-trained IT guys, and the museum has been very generous to us insofar as equipment needs and such as that. So let's look at the museum first. If we do have concerns about Wi-Fi and IT, and see if we can get free help, which is better than having to pay somebody for it.
If we
And get this
can,
thing squared
that
away.
would be
And
great.
if it comes to hardware and equipment and such also, that can be handled.
Okay, well, again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's a bridge we need to cross later, just want to make sure we know what's ahead, so
Who has the computer right now?
I do.
Well, let's just plug it in next month.
Yeah, can do that.
See what it'll do.
Yep.
But you know, Greg, there's no hurry to get everything done tomorrow. You've got 3 years.
Yeah, no, just 2 left. Just 2 at the most. Okay. That's all my old business. Is there something else anyone else wants to bring up?
This might be considered old business. Al, you're from Deltaville.
That's correct.
I worked in Deltaville for some time after the fire, restoring their models, and did several of them. But Deltaville has a beautiful, it's not new anymore, facility, a very, very nice Waterman's Museum. Al, do you volunteer there, or do you do any work with them?
I certainly do volunteer there. Yes.
Raynell Smith was the director when I started working with him. She's a fine lady. And Mr. England is still there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, John is still there. Renell is still involved. Renell is actually my neighbor. She just moved to another place. But yeah, I've known John for a long time. And I've made several trips with him, you know, on the Crockett.
Okay.
So yeah, nice folks there. Very nice.
Good. Yeah, it's about 45 miles up the road, but if any of you have not been into the relatively new, the old museum was in a house, and this is a museum. It's designed after an historic building. If you haven't been to the Deltaville Museum, just drive. It's a beautiful drive up, and take a look at the museum. It is a Waterman's Museum. They do explore all the building techniques and history and everything of the Chesapeake Bay Waterman. Deltaville used to be the hot spot for building workboats, and there's still a lot of that going on.
Is that the one with the replica shallop on the outside of the museum?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was built here for the bicentennial program, and it's still quite popular. It goes all over the country, you know, in movies and films, and so it's a quite popular attraction. It's moved everywhere, Canada, Florida. It's quite an attractive little shallop.
I have been to that museum once, but it was an absolute downpour that day, so I missed everything that was outdoors. You know, didn't go to the Crockett and you know, the shallop's under a roof, so we did see that, but everything else we skipped. The museum proper was excellent. I second Ron's recommendation to go visit it.
Yes, they also, you know, continually have a boat building program. A lot of the boats that they build, that John actually is in charge of, John England. I was just there the other day, and they just finished another, you know, little, I guess you'd call them a skiff, but this one was a dead right skiff, based on the Lewis Wright model, which was the first boat I ever owned, a Lewis Wright skiff. So yeah, they are quite busy, quite active. You know, the summer program, summer musical program out there, and so it's quite a local rendezvous for local people and, you know, people here on their boats as well. Deltaville is like a little mini Annapolis during, you know, the boating season.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business, or shall we move on to new? Okay, moving on to new business. Is there any new business? Okay. That would wrap up the business portion. Last month, Hank reminded me to stop and restart the meeting, so I'm going to do that now. So yeah, in last month's meeting, the little bookmarks in the recording did work, but having just one recording almost took us up to the maximum size-wise that I could upload to YouTube or something like that. So it's good if we start and stop. So just a moment.